Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we aren't just looking at an SUV, we are looking at a statement, a declaration of war on physics. Imagine a vehicle that weighs nearly 2.6 tons, can carry your entire family and their luggage in supreme comfort, yet accelerates faster than a dedicated super sports car. I am talking about the all-new, all-electric 2026 Porsche Cayenne Turbo. Just listen to these numbers for a second. 1,156 horsepower. That is 850 kilowatts. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour or 62 miles per hour in just 2.5 seconds. That is not just fast, that is violent. It's the most powerful production Porsche of all time. But here is the question we need to answer today. Does stripping away the engine strip away the soul? Is this just a numbers car or is it a true Porsche? We are going to find out. Let's start with the exterior because Porsche has played a very dangerous game here. They've had to modernize the icon without alienating the purists. Visually, the first thing you notice is the presence. It's grown. It is 55 millimeters longer than the combustion model, stretching to 4,985 millimeters, and the wheelbase has been pushed out by 13 centimeters. Up front, look at these matrix LED headlights. They are slimmer, sharper, housing over 64,000 pixels. They frame a nose that is unmistakably Porsche, despite the lack of a traditional grille. Instead, we have these active cooling air flaps that snap open when the battery needs to breathe and seal shut for aerodynamics. It's clever, but one has to ask, does it look a bit too similar to the smaller Macan EV? From some angles, it might be a struggle to tell them apart until you see the sheer scale of this thing. Moving to the side, you have these massive 21 or 22-inch alloy wheels. They look spectacular, especially with the turbonite finish on this turbo model. That's a special gray tone exclusive to the turbo variants. But be warned, big wheels mean expensive tires and a slightly firmer ride. The doors are now frameless, which looks fantastic and sleek, though frameless designs can sometimes introduce wind noise at high Autobahn speeds. We will have to see if Porsche has solved that. Around the back, we have this distinctive 3D light strip with animated graphics. It's beautiful. And on the turbo, there's an active rear spoiler, an aero blade, that extends its speed to clean up the airflow. Ground clearance? It sits on standard air suspension, offering variable heights depending on whether you are on the highway or climbing a dirt track. Step inside and you are hit by a wall of technology. This is the new Porsche driver experience. The centerpiece is the Flow display, a curved OLED screen setup. You have a 12.6-inch digital instrument cluster for the driver, a 12.3-inch central display, and if you pay extra, a 10.9-inch display just for the passenger. The material quality is impeccable. You have this new turbonite contrast stitching, and the panel heating is a game changer. It doesn't just heat the seats, it heats the armrests and the door panels. On a cold morning, that is pure luxury. However, it's not all perfect. Porsche has moved the gear selector to the dashboard, which frees up the center console, but that console is now a sea of glossy black plastic with haptic touch buttons. It looks stunning when it's clean, but give it 2 days and it will likely be covered in dust and fingerprints. And while the tech is impressive, having to dig into a touchscreen menu just to adjust the air vent direction seems like a step backward. Sometimes a manual tab is just better. The mood modes are interesting. They adjust lighting, sound, and climate all at once. But is it a gimmick? You tell me in the comments. Let's talk tech, because this car is a computer on wheels. You get the new Voice Pilot AI, which supposedly understands natural speech better than ever. It can handle complex queries, though voice assistants in general can still be hit or miss. We also have an augmented reality head-up display. It projects navigation arrows that look like they are floating on the road 10 meters ahead of you. It's brilliant for not missing turns in complex junctions. But here's the kicker: wireless charging. Porsche offers a new inductive charging pad for the garage. You drive over it and it charges at 11 kilowatts without plugging in. Sounds amazing, right? The catch? It is an expensive option, rumored to be around 5,000 euros. For that price, many owners might prefer plugging in a cable themselves. Alright, the moment of truth. Performance. The Turbo Electric packs 1,156 horsepower with launch control and 1,500 Newton meters of torque. When you put your foot down, 0 to 60 happens in 2.5 seconds. In a vehicle this size, that is absolute lunacy. It won't just accelerate, it will teleport. The powertrain is a masterpiece of engineering. The motors are oil-cooled for consistent performance, meaning drivers can do those launches over and over again without the battery overheating, something many EVs struggle with. The top speed is 260 kilometers per hour, which is plenty for the Autobahn. But what about the base model? The standard Cayenne Electric has only 442 horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. That is a massive gap. If you buy the base model, you might feel a bit of FOMO, knowing the turbo is twice as powerful. The handling is where the magic should happen. This car has Porsche Active Ride suspension. It leans into corners like a motorcycle, or rather, it counteracts the roll so perfectly that the car stays flat. It is designed to match the 2.6-ton weight incredibly well. But you can't cheat physics entirely. Braking from high speed, that mass will make itself known. The ceramic composite brakes on this turbo are optional, and honestly, for a car this heavy, they should probably be standard. Let's talk about living with it. The battery is a 113 kilowatt-hour pack using 800-volt architecture. Porsche claims a WLTP range of up to 642 kilometers for the base model and 623 kilometers for the turbo. In the real world, expect closer to 450 or 500 kilometers, especially if you enjoy that acceleration. Charging is phenomenal. It peaks at 400 kilowatts. That means you can go from 10% to 80% charge in just 16 minutes. That is game-changing. However, finding a 400 kilowatt charger can be a challenge. Most public chargers are still 50 or 150 kilowatts, so you won't always see those speeds. Towing? It is rated for 3.5 tons. That is excellent for an EV, perfect for hauling a boat or horse trailer. But remember, towing a heavy load will cut your range in half instantly. Safety-wise, it is loaded. Adaptive cruise, lane keeping, blind spot, it's all there. But one thing to note is that lane keeping assist systems can often be aggressive. On narrow country roads, they sometimes fight the driver, trying to pull away from the center line when dodging a pothole. You can turn it off, but doing it every time you start the car could be annoying. Now, let's talk about the painful part, the price. The base Cayenne Electric starts around $111,350. That is a lot of money for the slow one. If you want this monster, the turbo, you are looking at a starting price of $165,350. And knowing Porsche, you can easily add $30,000 in options. You want the fancy paint, the carbon brakes, the passenger screen? It all adds up. Is it worth it? For the price of the turbo, you could buy a base Cayenne and a Cayman for the weekends. It makes you think.